Okay, hi everyone. I think you've now had time to watch all my other videos, so I thought this is the moment for me to make more videos. Now, if you were thinking about going out Friday night, maybe Saturday night, that dream's over. What you should be doing is doing these past paper questions and watching my videos. That's what I'd be doing. That's what I'd be telling all my friends on Twitter. Anyway, do you even speak to each other on Twitter? I don't understand. Anyway, moving on. Let's go on to the next page. Alright, this first question is about fiscal policy. So I always like checking. It says which measure of fiscal policy is most likely to increase AD. So I like to check if there's any of these which don't have anything to do with fiscal policy. So if I look down, let's get my little arrow out. Don't go away. Well, that's, to be fair, all of them have got something to do with tax or government spending. So they're all fiscal policy. So let's decide which ones make sense. Right, if they reduce welfare payments, what will people have? People will have less money. So already that's stupid. So we'll cross that out. And leaving taxation and change obviously won't make a difference. So let's cross that. Right, increasing tax. Will that make... here we go. It says increasing direct taxes and reducing direct taxes on higher income levels to maintain the same revenue. No, I'm not happy with that one. I think that's not going to make a difference. I can see what the angle is, but I think they're just trying to scare you. Right, next one. Increasing state retirement pensions. Well, if they do that, people are going to have more money. So that means if they've got more money, that's going to make AD go up. And leaving taxation unchanged, so that's not going to make any difference. So at the minute, we've got one which ticks it. Right. Reduce government spending, stupid. And increase taxation by equal amounts, irrelevant, doesn't make a difference. So the answer is C. The one which I think is trying to scare you is B most, because I think B it doesn't really make any sense. And you might think, oh, well, probably that, because I don't really understand. No, it's C. On to the next one, question number 2. Can I zoom out a little bit? Yeah, we are. So, it's saying the economy is working at... you know what sort of question this is. We've seen a lot of these. Okay, so it's working at this point right now. That's where it is. It's making that many consumption goods and this many capital goods. Right. It says there's no change in the position of the PPB boundary. So the boundary is not going out. It's not doing anything. Okay, I'll just get rid of that because I don't want to confuse you. Okay. There is now an increase in the production of capital goods. Right, so if there's more capital goods being made, what's likely to happen in the following, because of this change? What's going to happen to consumption goods? Well, if at first you decide to make more, this is what we're at the minute, if you decide to make more capital goods, what happens to consumption at first? Consumption goods go down. So we can cross B and A out. But if you make more capital goods are goods that can make other goods. So therefore, when you make more capital goods, in the long run, you can be able to make more consumption goods. So the answer is D. Right, whenever I see a question about underlying trend rate of growth, and it's saying the rate of growth of aggregate demand is less than the underlying trend rate of growth. So this means the economy is in this bit here, because they're growing less than they expected. By the way, this is the trend rate, and this is the actual rate, and just for revision-wise, what goes on each bit, this is time, and this is real GDP. Right, anyway, so if this happens, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a reduction in aggregate supply? No, because aggregate supply could still be increasing, just at a lower rate than they thought they were going to. For example, the trend rate might be 2.5% increase, whereas in GDP, whereas the trend at the minute, the actual rate might only be a 1.5% increase. It might be lower than the trend rate, but it might be still increasing, if that makes any sense. Right. If it's less than it will cause an output gap. As you can see, there is an output gap, and it will be a negative output gap, and that's why it's the right answer. Right. Will it cause a balance of trade deficit? Now, if you think about it, if there's not much demand in our economy, this means our people in the economy won't be buying many imports because they haven't got much money. So if anything, it would make a balance of trade better. So that's wrong. And an increase in inflation, that's definitely wrong, because there'll only be an increase in inflation when you've got a positive output gap up there. Right, on to question number 4. Right, this is a fairly easy one. Some of you are going to put A because you're going to be rushing. Current account on the balance of payments. By the way, current account on the balance of payments is a posh way of saying trade balance. That's all it is. It's always in deficit when imports are less than exports. That's wrong, obviously. It's in deficit when imports are more than exports. So it's the wrong way around. Right, includes trading goods and services. That's pretty obvious. That's what it does. The current account includes four things. It includes trading goods. Now, I'm not sure whether you need to know this year, but I'm going to say it anyway, just in case. My handwriting is terrible today. Trade in services. It also has two other things. It has net investment income and, oh God, that's meant to say income. It says income, and net transfers. That's the four parts of the current account. Now, you don't really need to know that until next year, but I might as well just say it now. But it does include trading goods and services, and that's the answer. It's B. Right. C goes into surplus when wherever investment income rises. Now, here we look. This is the investment income they're talking about, and it's saying if that rose, is it going to go into surplus? Well, the thing is, just because that's going up, that could be plus, but all the other ones might be minus, which means actually it could still go into a deficit, even if that one was a positive. And then is in deficit when the government is forced to borrow money. There will be jokers out there who will put that because they'll be thinking about not a balance payments deficit, they'll be thinking about a budget deficit. Right, moving on. Okay, this is easy. It's saying foreign companies build new factories in the country, blah de blah. That's just there for absolutely irrelevant reasons, apart from to make you think, oh God, this is going to be scary, right? That's there as well to be scary. Okay, so the result of investment for a country's economy would be, so what's going to happen if there's an investment? Well, you know it's going to cause a shift in AD. So this whole movement along stuff is rubbish. It's not going to cause a movement along it. It's going to cause a shift in AD. So we've already got, it's either C or D. And is it going to cause a movement along the long-run aggregate supply curve? No, that's stupid. It's going to cause a shift in the long-run aggregate supply curve because in the short run, what happens when there's more investment? Investment is part of C plus I plus G plus X minus M, so AD will go up in the short run. Then, because firms invest, it will increase the country's productive capacity, which will make the long-run AS line go outwards. And that's what it is. Okay, this one will be nice and easy, I've got a feeling. Yeah, it will be. So, number 6, demand pull inflation is most likely to be caused by. Now, I'm not even going to look at that thing yet, right? Because I'm not going to look at the answer. I'm going to think, what would normally demand pull inflation be caused by? Demand pull inflation is when there's too much demand and not enough supply. So I'm going to see what comes up. Okay. A, total spending exceeds productive capacity. That makes sense. Let's really look. Right, personally, I think it's going to be that, but I'm going to do what I always do, is just check all the other ones. Right, demand pull is going to be caused by an increase in output. That's not true. If there's an increase in output, there'd be a less demand pull inflation. A rise in raw material prices, that's going to cause cost push inflation. And a rise in interest rates would make AD go down, so it would make demand pull inflation go down. So the answer is A. Right, these are the dream questions because they really should take you about 3 seconds. Right, you know the demand curve is shifting to the left, so this means AD is going to be going down. So we need one of these things to make AD go down. Now, here is a key word that is just there, waiting to screw you. Right, decrease. So if there's a decrease in unemployment, more people will have jobs, so AD would go up. So that's wrong. Right, a decrease in productivity. If workers are less productive, it's going to affect the short-run AS line, which is irrelevant to AD, so that goes away. Right, if there's a decrease in exports, that's obviously going to make AD go down, because exports is part of AD, so that's the answer. And finally, a decrease in interest rates would make AD go up, so that's wrong. So the answer is C. Is anyone else thinking these answers are really easy? Well, I think they are, but also, in my opinion, you're probably getting better. If you're not finding them easy, I'm sorry. I've probably hyped you up there, but anyway. So I love these diagram ones. They're really easy. We've got short-run AS. Now, always do a little arrow just to make sure you got it right. It's going to the right. So this means a firm's cost of production, because that's what it's all about, must be going to going down. I'm going to do a little arrow. There we are. Because if the cost of production goes down, firms will want to supply more. So what can be explained by? A fall in prices. Rubbish. So get rid of that. That always causes movements. Okay. B, productivity. If there's a fall in productivity, it would go the other way, so that's stupid. The trend rate of growth, that would affect long-run aggregate supply. So, and also a fall in the trend rate of growth would make it would affect long run, so it's irrelevant. Okay. D, the world price of oil. So if the world price of oil goes down, firms will be able to supply more because their cost of production will go down. So the answer is D. Okay, make sure you spend your time with these sort of ones and get them right. So, All other things being equal, get rid of that. No need for it. Which of the following is most likely to lead to an increase in imports? Okay, the fall in the exchange rate. Straight away, you're right, WIDEC. Imports dear, exports cheap. So, is that going to increase imports? No, that's wrong. Right. A fall in national income. If the national income's going down, that means people have got less money. If they've got less money, what they're not going to be buying? They're not going to be buying imports. So that's wrong. Right. A fall in government expenditure. If there is a fall in government expenditure, that means AD is going to be going down. So again, whatever the government might be spending money on, AD is going down. If AD is going down, we're probably not going to be buying imports. So I'm going to cross that out. Okay. Here we go. So if there's a fall in the savings ratio is the amount of money people are saving compared to spending. If they are saving less, what must they be doing? They must be spending, which means AD would be going up, which means people would be having more money. And what might they be buying? They might be buying imports. So the answer is D. Okay, this is a bit back in the day, this stuff. Factors that affect investment. Oops. And I think you'll find this easy, so let's have a look. Which of the following is most likely to increase the rate of investment in the economy? Right, a decrease in the rate of change of income. Let's just hold that for a second. They've said that kind of scarily just to try and confuse you, but basically, if there's a decrease in the rate of change of income, this means people's income is a decrease in the rate. So it could be just like people's income might be going up by 5%, but now it's going up by 3%. But basically, if people's incomes are going up by a smaller percent, then firms are less likely to want to invest, I think. I think that's a little bit of a horrible way of saying it. But anyway, the answer will become clear in a second. A decrease in tax on a firm's profits. That's so obviously the answer that just don't worry about A at all. Because the thing is, if there's a decrease in the tax on firms' profits, firms will have more money, therefore they're more likely to invest. Right? C is obviously stupid. And an increase in the rate of interest. Again, if interest rates went up, firms would have less incentive to borrow, so they wouldn't be able to invest as much. So the answer is B. Right, on to 11. Right, supply side policies are generally understood to be policies which. Now, people sometimes get these wrong. Remember, supply side policies are policies that try and increase the productive capacity of the economy. So, improving productivity would make sense, and reduce market imperfections. Yeah, you could allow that, so we could say that. That's fine, okay? Enable the government to supply as many goods and services as possible. That's not true, because yes, the government might have made these supply side policies, but it's not all about the government supplying it, it's about them getting firms to supply more. Okay, reduce the supply of labour, that's rubbish. And reduce inflation by controlling interest rates. That is obviously monetary policy, which is never going to be right. So the answer is A. Now, you might not like the second half of it, reduce market imperfections, but this is one of those answers where sometimes you get the answer by crossing off the other ones, which are definitely wrong. Right, we practiced a lot of these the other day, so I'm pretty confident that you should be getting these right. With these ones, what you do is you read the thing and it says two things. There's going to be a rise in the There's a rise in the price of imported raw materials and semi-finished goods. Oh, it's only one thing. This is ridiculously easy. Okay, so if there's a rise in the price of imported raw materials, what's going to happen to a firm's costs? A firm's costs are going to go up. So is this one going to be right? No, because the firm's costs are going down. This one's to do with demand, so it's rubbish. This one's to do with demand as well. And this is right because a firm's cost of production is going up, and that's the answer. Okay, you all know inflation is a sustained rise in the general price level as measured by CPI or RPI sometimes, right? So this question is giving you some stuff, but it's trying to screw you over here. Okay, so the rate of inflation is measured by taking the difference between this year's prices and last year's prices. That's not right. That's way too simplistic, okay? Calculating the percentage change in prices between two time periods. This feels more right, so I'm going to do a little circle because I'm pretty sure that's right, okay? The level of RPI, Real Retail Price Index. Now, a lot of you will have picked that, but the thing is, it's measured by other things as well. Sometimes it's measured by CPI, so that is way too obvious an answer. It's definitely not that, okay? Lastly, D, changing the relative price of goods and services. No, okay? It's always going to be, inflation is always measured by the percentage change in prices between two time periods. That's what you've got to know. Right, these questions haunt me, or they did when I was younger. I used to just look at them and think, I've got absolutely no idea what you're chatting about. But actually, it's actually really easy. You'll just get scared. You'll look at it and you'll be scared. So let's go through each one. Which of the following can be concluded from the data? The price level fell between 2000 and 2006. So the price level was going up by 2.3%, and now it's going up by 2.1%. Someone out there will say, oh, that's right, because it was 2.3 and now it's 2.1. But it's not right, because before it was going up by 2.3%, and now it's going up by 2.1%. So the price level hasn't fallen, it's just gone up by a slower rate. So that is wrong. Right, B. Economic growth was accompanied by falling unemployment rate. So we've got GDP has gone up from 2.1% to 3%. So there is definitely an increase in the rate of economic growth. So economic growth is going up. At the same time, unemployment rate, okay, was 4.2% and now it's 3.6%. Okay, so that means perfect. That's right. Okay. Now, where they have screwed you slightly is the three of these ones are percentage change. That's percentage change, percentage change, percentage change, and then unemployment, which isn't percentage change, right? So that's where you might have said, oh, unemployment is still going up, but a slower rate. It's not. They've just tried to confuse you here. That's all they've done, because it's not percentage change. I hope that makes sense. Right. C. A fall in the rate of employment was accompanied by a rise in the rate of inflation. Now, already we know the unemployment rate, this isn't talking about percentage change, so we're not really going to be able to find out the rate of unemployment as much, okay? But anyway, even if it wasn't saying that, unemployment, you could be saying, is going down, but at the same time, inflation, the rate of inflation has been going down. So the rate of inflation went from 2.3% to 2.1%, so that is wrong. Right, finally D, the level in earnings fell by 0.1% between 2000 and 2006. That is 100% wrong, because it's percentage change. So earnings were going up by 4.7% and now they're going up by 4.6%, if that makes sense. Okay, nice easy one for you, this one, as a finale. It says the government reduces its spending, so that means AD would be going down. That's the first bit. At the same time, Bank of England increased interest rates. When they do that, that means AD will be going down as well. So we've got two things which are basically saying what's going to happen when AD goes down. So we're saying aggregate demand will fall, but inflation will rise. That's not true, because when aggregate demand falls, inflation will probably fall as well. B, aggregate supply will fall, but economic growth will rise. There won't be, doesn't make any sense, so it's definitely not B, okay? Unemployment will fall, does that make sense? It should do, because wait a second, unemployment will fall. Well, if AD is going down, unemployment will actually rise, so already we know that's wrong. I've got the green pen out, I thought it was right. Let's go, it's wrong. Finally, inflation will fall, that's true, because there's less AD, but unemployment will rise, that's also true. So the answer is D.